Hello, Cublets. Welcome back to another Bear With me, BearElliott. Are you scared to go into the water? Does deep seas kind of get you a little nervous? Maybe it harps back to a memory of watching Jaws as a child. Shark movies, horror movies, I don't really know what kind of genre this is. I guess they'd fall under horror, because sharks seem to be the natural predator and the major predator in the deep blue sea. Also, in this movie, the shallows. Now, of course, they're a massive predator, and they're very, very scary, and we kind of have a whole entire week dedicated to them, Shark Week, which is not one of my fortes, but after living 12 years in Florida, I have gotten a little bit more used to the idea of sharks being around. Not that I want to encounter them, but I have seen my share of them in my lifetime. And they are scary. But Blake Lively has dipped her toe into the shark-infested waters of the shallow. Blake plays Nancy. Now, Nancy's going through a little bit of a life crisis. She recently lost her mother, I'm assuming from cancer or some type of... It looks like cancer from the flashback that we got, that Nancy's, performed by Blake Lively, Nancy's is kind of at a crossroads of her life. She's 25 and is in med school, and she decides that after her mother passes away that she's going to kind of put that on hold for the time being. It's almost that she's dropped out of medical school. That's the impression that I get from a conversation that she has with her father that happens throughout the movie. But it's interesting because basically Nancy's all by herself in this movie. She is on a mission to find this deserted private beach that her mother was pregnant. When she was pregnant with Nancy, she discovered, and she was a surfer, and Nancy's a surfer, and she wants to reconnect with her mother in this form, which is kind of an interesting premise. I really thought that was neat. And also, her thoughts about the mountain range that's in the water looks like a pregnant lady, and it actually does when they show it. It does look like a pregnant lady laying in the water. And it is significant that Nancy's mom was pregnant with her at that time. Well, she's a surfer and decides that she's going to find this, but her traveling companion has a little bit too much fun the night before and bails on her. So poor Nancy's all by herself. She does find the beach, and it is beautiful. It's in Mexico, it's gorgeous, and it's really got me thinking about my cruise that's going to happen in 2 weeks. Okay, that's a side note. But Nancy is I wouldn't say she's pro, but she's really damn good at surfing. And that's kind of neat. She is surfing, and she gets into the water, and she's just having that reconnection, that spiritual cleansing in the water. Now, that's when chaos ensues, because there is a whale that has brought about a shark and is using the whale as a feeding area. Well, she stumbles upon the shark, and the shark is kind of a jerk. Or she, it's never really decided, but the shark decides that it's going to eat anything and everyone that happens to be in this area. That includes Nancy. So the shark not only tries to take out Nancy by biting her in the leg, which Nancy escapes from, but then it takes out the guy who tries to rob her, which I was like, oh, well, there's natural selection and justice. Yay, way to go, shark. I was actually on the shark side on that one, because he tried to rob Nancy, and Nancy's like stuck out on a rock, because that's where the shallows come from, because it's low tide, so she couldn't get anywhere but on the rocks. And then he takes out the two guys that try to help her that she met the day before. They're surfers, and the shark takes them out, which, thank you for GoPro, because that's how this whole big thing ends. With thank you, GoPro. Well, the really interesting thing about this movie is the cinematography. I thought the cinematography was beautiful. They did a lot of underwater photography that when she dove in to go under the waves, it was absolutely amazing. I loved that they had the capturing of the sound of when you go under and the pressure in your ears. That sound is like what Nancy was experiencing. And the cinematography was great. Story was not so strong. Not as strong as that damn shark. That shark was damn strong. That was where it got a little weak, because it's like, okay, the shark is really after her, and they used a hook in the mouth that the shark had like some kind of vengeance against people, because once upon a time the shark was hooked. and that was kind of lame. The other element that I really did like was that when she used like her phone to communicate with her family, they actually had that conversation up on the screen, both screens of what they were seeing and what she was seeing, with the cinematography being of the background and the beauty of the beach and her walking on the beach. And it was kind of neat because you got a sense from that perspective how alone Nancy feels at this moment in her life. Now, the cool other element of this is there's a lot of similarities and throwbacks to Jaws. When Nancy gets a hold of a flare gun, they purposely, of course, they did it this way, is that they recreate almost the Jaws moment of firing the flare gun at the shark. That was kind of cool. It just wasn't a Jaws, I guess, storyline that I really got into and that I felt captured, that I really was motivated and happy to like be part of. I just felt like a spectator. And when it comes to movies, I like that escapism. I like to get into the movie. Now, there are some very gory graphic scenes, especially she's a med student, and the conversation that she has is almost like the Tom Hanks movie Castaway, when he's talking to himself, but he talks to a beach ball. It's similar to that because Nancy's having this conversation with herself about stitching herself up, and that's kind of graphic. Poor John, my buddy that went to the movies with me, he couldn't watch that. He watched it like this. This is how he watched that part. So that was kind of interesting. I liked that aspect of it. I thought Blake Lively did a great job by being basically in a movie all by herself. And I liked that aspect, and it did show some range in her acting ability. And I did connect to Nancy, and I did like that they had a follow-up afterwards, because it was like, okay, great. Are we not going to find out if she lived or died on this? That was kind of cool. But storyline, it was kind of weak. I just really wanted to get engrossed into her story, and I just didn't. I felt like a spectator. I didn't feel like I was involved in the movie. And it's not like I want to be involved in the movie, especially since I'm going to Mexico in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And I don't want to run into any big old sharks. Overall, when it comes to this movie, you know that with my reviews, I do out of 5 paws. I'm giving this like a solid 3. It's good. I wouldn't say rush out and see it. It's not bad. The acting is very solid. The cinematography is absolutely gorgeous. Storyline, that's where it kind of lost its, I guess, bite. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this review of The Show. It's currently showing in movie theaters around the world. So until next time, have yourself I almost said a shark of a day. So until next time, have yourself a wonderful day. Bye, couplets!
I could go out in the darkness, see you calling my name. I hear you shouting, hear you calling, but it's not the same. Every word that you are throwing right into my back doesn't matter to me, cause I'm keeping my track. Let me go, let me go.